Hi children, today we move on to chapter 7 from the text Beehive titled Packing by Jerome K. Jerome. Jerome Klapka Jerome was an English writer and humorist best known for the comic travelogue Three Men in a Boat. This book became an instant success and has never been out of print. Its writing style has influenced many humorists and satirists in England and elsewhere. Now, the lesson that you have to learn is an extract from the novel Three Men in a Boat. It deals with the story of three friends, Jerome, that is the author himself, and his two friends, George and Harris. And they decide to go on a boat, on a trip. Boat journey. And the extract that you have to learn deals with how they pack for that trip. The humor elements. So we can easily identify with the lesson as we all would have experienced the session of packing our things for a trip. So many things we'll be able to identify ourselves with. Okay, we'll continue. We'll start. I said I would pack. I rather pride myself on my packing. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. It surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. Now, why is that particular line put in bracket? The author starts straight away. I told you this is an extract, so it's almost a continuation of what happens in this particular part deals with packing. They have decided to go on a journey. Actually, the story deals with that they are very confused what to do. All of them feels very bored. They all feel very bored and they don't know what is to be done. Finally, they decide that they'll go on a boat journey. Then they decide to pack. Okay, that time the author, the I refers to author naturally, Jerome. So he says that I would pack. And he says that I rather pride myself on, look at the meaning, I'm proud of my packing skill. Packing is one of those many things. Packing is not the only thing that I know. It is only one of those many things that I feel I know more than any other person. I am an expert. And he says that it surprises himself that how many such things there are. How many such things means how many things there are in which he is an expert. That shows how proud he is or to what extent he boasts about the things that he knows. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they'd better leave the whole matter entirely to me. So he told his friends that it's better you leave it, I will pack. You need not bother about that. They fell into the suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. Uncanny means weird. What does that mean? The moment he said that I will do the packing, you leave it to me, they agreed to it. They were so ready to that suggestion. That made the author feel that it is something very strange. Why did they react like that? George spread himself over the easy chair and Harris cocked his legs on the table. Just to tell us that they were very relaxed. Okay, you can do it, you do it. And they sat in a very relaxed manner. This was hardly what I intended. Intended means planned. So hardly means not. So this was not what the author had in his mind. What he had meant was, what I had meant, of course, was that I should boss the job and that Harris and George should potter about under my directions. That is what he expected to do. That I will boss him. You do this, you do that, you pack this one, you pack that one. He will do that and he will make George and Harris do it. But here what happened? The moment he said, I will pack, the other two relaxed themselves. I pushing them aside every now and then with, oh you, here, let me do it. There you are, simple enough. Really teaching them, as you might say. This is what he had expected to do. He will just stand there and give commands and make them do. Their taking it in the way they did irritated me. But how did they respond? They said, okay, you pack well and fine, happy, and they relaxed. And that irritated Jerome. There is nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting out doing nothing when I am working. We all are like that, right? We are busy doing something, and our other friends sitting there simply sometimes irritate us. I lived with a man once who used to make me mad that way. So now he remembers, it's a flashback. The author is reminded of a similar situation earlier. He would loll on the sofa. Loll means sit in a relaxed manner and watch me doing things by the hour together. He said it did him real good to look on at me messing about. Now I am not like that. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. I want to get up and superintend means supervise, and walk round with my hands in my pockets and tell him what to do. It is my energetic nature. I can't help it. I can't sit on a sofa and see the other people doing work. I want to supervise, give instructions, do this, do that. Why? Because I'm very energetic by nature. I'm not a lazy person, That is his attitude. I can't help it. I cannot stop myself from doing that. However, I did not say anything, but started the packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be. But I got the bag finished at last, and I sat on it and strapped it. Ain't you going to put the boots in? Said Harris. And I looked round and found I had forgotten them. Won't such a, or I will ask you, haven't such a thing happened in our life also? We pack everything, we think that we have done it in an organized manner, and sometimes after packing we realize, we didn't pack this one. Sometimes you will have to unpack too much too, or unpack the whole thing to get it, depending on the thing that you forgot. So here again, after he has finished packing, Harris asked him, aren't you going to pack the boots? And I looked around and found I had forgotten them. That is just like Harris. He couldn't have said a word until I had got the bag shut and strapped, of course. That is, he is asking the same, then why couldn't he tell him earlier? That is Harris. Harris is like that. He waited till I finished the packing and then telling me that you have forgotten to pack the boat. And George laughed. One of those irritating, senseless laughs of us. They do make me so wild. All these are instances which we can easily identify ourselves with. When we are doing, trying to finish off one job, one person is watching all that and waiting till the last moment and then telling that, see, you have not packed the boots. You will feel irritated, right? In addition to that, another person is sitting and laughing at it. Look how he has described that laughter. One of those irritating, senseless laughs. If George was sensible, he wouldn't laugh like that, right? Making fun of others. So yes, senseless laughs of us. They do make me so wild. So wild means so angry. I opened the bag and packed the boots in. And then, just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush. Now, this time, it is not someone else who reminded him. Second time he packed everything, then a horrible idea occurred to himself. What is that? Oh, did I pack my toothbrush? Again, this happens to us sometimes, right? And he says that it's not the first time. Many a time it has happened to him that he forgets whether he has packed his toothbrush. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I am traveling and makes my life a misery. So he narrates to us his, deal with his toothbrush. How the toothbrush has brought misery to his life in his journeys. I dream that I haven't packed it and wake up in a cold perspiration and get out of bed and hunt for it. And in the morning, I pack it before I have used it and have to unpack again to get it. And it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag. And then I repack and forget it and have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. Nothing to be explained, you just visualize what is it. When we think of it, toothbrush is a very small thing, right? You don't need a suitcase to pack that. But how much trouble it caused to the narrator. Not once. Sometimes he forgets, sometimes he pack it first, pack it last, and things like that. So just visualize it, nothing to be explained. Of course, I had to turn every mortal thing out now. Mortal thing here means every ordinary thing. And of course, I could not find it. Still, he couldn't find it. I rummaged the things up into much the same state. Rummaged means searched in a hurried and careless manner. That they must have been before the world was created. That is, before the world was created, we always said it was a big chaos, right? Confused state. So it was like that, the suitcase. And when chaos reigned, that is, and when must have before the world was created, when chaos reigned. So the situation within the suitcase was similar to that. Of course, I found George and Harris 18 times over. What? I found George and Harris what? Their toothbrush. When he searched for his own toothbrush, he saw the toothbrush of George and Harris 18 times over, but couldn't find my own. I put the things back one by one and held everything up and shook it. Then I found it inside a boot. I repacked once more. So just keep in mind how many times he did. First time he packed everything. He had forgotten to pack the boot, so he had to open the suitcase again. Second time he had forgotten whether he had packed the toothbrush. He searched for it. He couldn't find it. Finally, he got it, saw it inside his boot, and he repacked once more. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. I said I didn't care a hang whether soap was in or whether it wasn't. Care a hang means show no concern. I'm not bothered. Understand? I'm not bothered now whether the soap was in or it wasn't. And I slammed the bag. Slammed means shut loudly. Shut and strapped it and found that I had packed my spectacles in it and had to reopen it. So within this much time itself, we understood that 3 times he had to open the bag which was packed. First boot, second toothbrush, and third spectacles. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. And then there remained the hampers to do. Harris said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours' time and thought that he and George had better do the rest. And I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. Okay, hampers is large baskets for carrying food. So now they had to pack that, and George and Harris said, okay, we will do that because we have to hurry. We have to start by in less than 12 hours time. So we will pack the hampers. And they decided like that. They began in a light-hearted spirit, evidently intending to show me how to do it. So now they were packing in such a way that they wanted to show me this is how you should pack. Okay, not how you did it. You forgot boots, you forgot toothbrush, you kept your spectacles in. Now we will show you how to pack. I made no comment. I only waited. With the exception of George, Harris is the worst packer in this world. This is the narrator's judgment. And I looked at the piles of plates and cups and kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves and cakes and tomatoes, etc. Everything kept ready for packing, okay? And felt that the thing would soon become exciting. So, Jerome's judgment of Harris as a packer is he's a worst packer, and he looked at all the things that has to be packed, and he says that very soon this thing will become exciting. It did. They started with breaking a cup. That was the first thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. Get you interested in the sense that, yes, one cup is broken. Now we will see what all will happen. That interest is, what should I say, kindled in the mind of the author. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on top of a tomato and squashed it, and they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. Okay, we'll stop there and continue in the second audio.